I'm being given electroshock therapy if I don't mention I'm from Chattanooga, so or I went to high school in Chattanooga, so I have to mention UTC product Cole Strange, the draft pick by the New England Patriots, which is like, I mean, I don't. You keep thinking Belichick can't get more hipster with his draft picks, and then he goes and outdoes himself. Oh my God, this guy puts his dog in a chair and then trades down to the second round and takes a Lenore Ryan hybrid defensive linebacker. It's like, oh well, I mean, you can't outdo yourself in the middle of a pandemic. You can't outdo yourself. And then in the first round, he trades for a offensive guard from Chattanooga. Do we, Debo, have the audio or video of the reaction from the Rams by chance?
Really? Just went. Oh, my UT Chattanooga to the first round. Hey, where is...
How about that? And we wasted our time watching him thinking he'd be at 104 maybe.
I mean, first of all, like, how drunk are those guys?
They had a couple cocktails.
That is two LA bros who've been they're drinking ranch water, and they ain't drinking like they are loose as a goose up there, knowing they didn't have a single pick, weren't going to think about picking. They're like, yeah, well, we just pal some drinks and do this press conference. Traps,
yes.
Talk to me about UTC Cole Strange.
Okay, the first strange part about this is that I had Cole Strange at 104 on my big board. So that would have been
a humble brag, but sure, right. I'm just kidding.
What do you mean? No, I'm saying that it's funny that literally where I had him ranked is where the Rams said like we wanted to pick him at 104. That was just weird when I went back to look. I didn't have that memorized. I was saying to Josh,
I agree. Yes, it is weird.
Before we went on air, that I went back and reread my scouting report for Cole Strange, and I had him, ranked in the 4th round. But my scouting report, like there weren't a lot of negatives. He's a really, really good athlete. The handwork is really good. Like he's not someone that gets his hands outside and gets called for a lot of holding penalties. The short area quickness is there. In those bigger games, I believe they played Kentucky or like a few Power 5 schools. Yeah. And he looked good in that game. He was facing big nose tackles, SEC caliber defensive linemen, and Cole Strange really held his own. I wrote, I think multiple times in my scouting report, that Cole Strange is a battler. Like he looks like a wrestler in the trenches, and it feels like a type of player that will be solid on the New England Patriots. Now, the one part overarching that is weird about it, he feels like he would have been like a Patriots 3rd or 4th round pick that would have been someone that no one really paid attention to. And then 3 years down the road, he's, signing an extension and is an all pro. He felt more like that than someone would go in the 1st round. He needs to get a lot stronger. But it was just interesting that I went and back to reread it. And I was like, actually, I kind of understood this just from what the Patriots like, and they have a need after trading Shaq Mason. But yes, I felt similarly to Sean McVay. I didn't have as many drinks as Sean McVay tonight. But him going 29 is way too early because he's more of a developmental guy who could be good toward the end of his rookie contract.
I mean, Josh, this is a case of like, if any other team takes him, it's a free, like, loser light up blowtorch, like post podcast draft situation, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think if we go back to the podcast where we were discussing AFC East needs, I think we may have mentioned Cole Strange as a possible day 2 option for the New England Patriots because he does make sense for them. We just didn't see him being taken in the 1st round. He had his best game against Kentucky. I mean, when you're playing at a lower level, you need to excel when you're moving up and punching up a level. So he absolutely did that against Kentucky. That's going to endear him to some of the coaches around the league, but had a good showing at the Reese's Senior Bowl, went to the Combine, performed well there. So like he checked a lot of the boxes during the pre-draft process, but I did not value him in the 1st round. I didn't think he was going to be available at number 104 overall. I kind of fell somewhere in the middle. But the Patriots obviously had a conviction about him. And if it pans out, which, they've actually done pretty well at evaluating offensive linemen, Dante Scarnecchia has been very involved, and I'm sure he had a little bit of input into this choice. So maybe it ends up working out for them, and we end up looking like the dumb ones in the end. But a lot of questionable picks coming out of New England in recent years.
I think the moral of the story, though, is that we need to make sure every coach is getting hammered before they do their draft press conference or show up at their draft parties. Then we get it's like truth serum. We get it all coming out. And the thing is, I do think McVay and Les Snead were serious in that conversation that, hey, that is a guy we would have considered at 104 if he was still on the board. And they're just laughing it up because, hey, we have a pick at the bottom of the third round. The Patriots just took him in the first round. My God, what are they doing? That coach is supposed to be the best one in NFL history. The one thing I do like about Cole Strange being off the board is that maybe the Rams will now take a punter with their first pick.
Why were the Rams having a press conference? That's what I was wondering.
I think that was a draft party. Like,
they were just having a party and drinking.
They didn't have any picks. And they knew
they were just hanging out and just talk to the media.
Maybe it's just like hanging out, talking to fans about like whatever. Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe this is why they are trading all of their picks. They just want to indulge in the moment, like what we saw tonight.